As I thought, all of the AI characters in this game are based on actual AI and quantum computer experiments here in the real world. And I would like to have a look at that before we fully end off, if that's okay, Magisteria. Just a short look. I won't take long. Grace Fortran, inspired by Grace Murray Hopper and the Fortran programming language. Born in 1906, Grace was one of the first people to ever work on computers. With a PhD in mathematics from Yale in 1930, she spent several years teaching and later joined the Naval Reserve in 1943, where her first computer encounter occurred. The Navy's Mark I computer was 51 feet long, 8 feet tall, 8 feet wide, and encased in glass. She later would experience the continuation of this mechanical monstrosity with the Mark II and Mark III computers. Eventually, Grace would join the Eckert Macaulay Computer Corporation to design the first commercial large-scale electronic computer, the UNIVAC I, in 1949. Her later work within the Navy Regional Data Automation Center would earn her Computer Sciences Man of the Year award from the Data Processing Management Association, making her a well-achieved pioneer of computer science. Grace Hopper vehemently hated the phrase, "That's how we've always done it." She argued that there wasn't a place for that kind of thought process in a field where changes happen rapidly. Yep, I'm going to move my avatar. Put myself down here. To prove her point, she kept a clock that ran counterclockwise, showcasing that things didn't always have to be done the same way all the time. Her wisdom helps many break their old habits. Having spent several years teaching, Grace considered her greatest accomplishment to be the education she provided to many young people. She used many different analogies to teach what later became legendary among her students, such as using a foot-long strand of wire to represent a nanosecond at light speed, and used this to explain why programmers can't afford to waste time. Grace also coined the term debugging, as that was her responsibility when dealing with computers. She was also given the nickname Amazing Grace. Fortran, short for Formula Translation, is a computer programming language created in 1957 by John Backus, designed to simplify the programming process and make it more accessible. Former methods of programming required writing in binary or hexadecimal arithmetic, an arduous task. Frustrated with the old ways, John Backus spent 3 years with 10 International Business Machines (IBM) employees to create a much simpler programming language that used English shorthand with algebraic equations. The AI Ada, inspired by Countess Ada Lovelace. Ada was born in London in 1815, daughter of the famous poet Lord Byron as Augusta Ada Byron. Her brilliance in mathematics was recognized by both her family and her tutors, as she was encouraged by many to pursue the field despite its male-dominated nature. In 1835 she married William King, who became the Earl of Lovelace. Ada took on the title as Countess of Lovelace, and thus her identity as Ada Lovelace began. At age 12, Ada was studying new inventions and the anatomy of birds to learn about flight, as she had a dream of building a flying machine. She would later meet Charles Babbage, father of the computer, and was able to see a demonstration of his difference engine, which was designed to perform mathematical calculations. As Charles Babbage created plans for another device called the Analytical Engine, Ada Lovelace was asked to translate an article about the machine originally written by Italian engineer Luigi Federico Menabrea for a Swiss journal. As she translated, Ada added her own thoughts and ideas about the engine, ultimately tripling the size of the original article after adding her notes. While her translation was not well appreciated at the time, it would later get a recognition for having created the concept of computer code. Ada's notes described how mathematical codes could be created for the analytical engine to create letters and symbols along with the numbers. She described that the way the machine allowed for the repeating and looping of numbers would eventually lead it to create music and art. Her groundbreaking formulas were far ahead of her time, and these formulas provided the foundation of modern computing. Born in February 1953 and raised in Southern California, Roberto Williams is a retired game designer and co-owns Sierra Online with her husband Ken Williams. Roberta was popularly known as the Queen of Graphic Adventure, a title fitting as she developed several popular games in the 80s and 90s, primarily the King's Quest series. She and Ken were actively designing games until they eventually sold Sierra Online in 1996. Roberta retired from game design after that. Her and Ken's hobbies now include reading, traveling, boating, and visiting their sons. Robotics engineer Shigeo Hirose began his career as a graduate student in 1971 when he joined the Department of Control Engineering at the Tokyo Institute of Technology. His innovation in robotics led him to create a multitude of unique and revolutionary robot designs. His most famous robot is the snake-like robot, a mechanical arm capable of moving and maneuvering like a snake. Some of its functions allowed it to wrap itself around an object or lift itself up. Hirose believed the technology could be useful to doctors, as it could work its way inside the body. A few of his other robots included an arm that can close around objects, a small omnidirectional vehicle controlled remotely, and a planetary exploration rover that can climb vertically and traverse over uneven land. Sutherland is an American electrical engineer who graduated with a bachelor's degree, master's degree, and doctorate in electrical engineering. After, he was commissioned as a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army, working in the National Security Agency. He later became a researcher at the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, where he initiated the projects in time-sharing systems and artificial intelligence. For his pioneering and visionary contributions to computer graphics, Sutherland received a Turing Award in 1988. English mathematician Charles Babbage was born in 1791 and is one of the most celebrated icons of computer prehistory. He graduated from Trinity College in Cambridge and was more advanced in mathematics than his tutors. Afterwards, he created the device he is most famous for, Difference Engine No. 1, the first successful automatic calculator. Sadly, little remains of Babbage's different machines. However, his advancements in calculations have led many to call him the father of computing. And Blue, as we saw, was based on Deep Blue. Deep Blue is a chess-playing computer developed by IBM. From 1996 to 1997, Deep Blue challenged world champion chess player Garry Kasparov in a six-match game over time and won. Between matches, the creators at IBM were allowed to improve Deep Blue as the games progressed. By the fifth match, Kasparov was ahead, but the final match was the deciding factor, and Deep Blue became the first computer to ever defeat a human world champion at chess. Alan Asimov, robotics engineer inspired by Alan Turing and Isaac Asimov. Alan Turing was born in 1912 in London and is considered to be a pioneer of computer science. During World War II, he secretly worked with the English military as a codebreaker with the task of breaking Germany's Enigma machine. The Enigma machine was designed to create supposedly unbreakable codes to transfer vital information. Later, a scandal broke out regarding intimate relations with a male labor worker that ultimately ruined Turing's career. He later died of cyanide poisoning. While inconclusive, many believe this was suicide due to the scandal. Alan Turing's advancements in computer science have led him to be well respected among the scientific community. The Turing Award was named after him and is considered to be the highest honor among computer scientists, often called the Nobel Prize of Computing. Now, I want to correct something in that little blurb there. It is not inconclusive. We know, based on journal entries and letters that he sent to friends and family, that Alan Turing was given the option of jail time or chemical castration with an overdose of estrogen supplements as punishment for his homosexual relations, which were illegal at the time in England. We know, again, based on those journal entries and letters to friends and family that have been uncovered, that Alan Turing's suicide was directly related to the side effects of said chemical castration. And in my opinion, the posthumous pardon and apology that he received in the early 2000s is not enough to make up for what was done to him for the simple crime of loving another human being. Isaac Asimov was born in 1920 in Russia and was brought to the USA at the age of 3. He grew up in Brooklyn and later graduated from Columbia University with a Ph.D. before joining the faculty at Boston University, where he remained. He became a well-renowned science fiction writer, known for his 3 laws of robotics. A robot may not injure a human being, or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. A robot must obey any orders given to it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law, and a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. Colossus, also known as Eastern Goddess, was the first large-scale computer designed by Alan Turing. In 1939, Alan M. Turing was hired by the Foreign Office and British intelligence to break the German Enigma code, a form of message encryption used during World War II. The resulting machine was Colossus, a large computer capable of decrypting the messages from the Enigma code. Because of the success of Colossus, King George VI awarded Alan the Order of the British Empire. The form of Eastern Goddess was also a nickname given to Colossus. Lynne Conway is a famed computer scientist and transgender activist. She was born in 1938 in New York and was inspired early on by astronomy, even building her own telescope. Her contributions to computer science revolve around design rules for computer chip design, and she even co-authored Introduction to VLSI Systems, a groundbreaking text that became a standard textbook used in over 100 universities. She later became a key architect for DARPA, a research program studying high-performance computers. A Chinese-American computer scientist, Andrew Cheech... I'm going to butcher this if I attempt it, so we'll just go with Andrew Yao, was born in 1946 in Shanghai. He obtained a bachelor's degree, master's degree, and doctorate, all in physics. Later, he served on the editorial boards of several scientific journals, such as the Society of Industrial and Applied Mathematics Journal of Computing, the Journal of Algorithms, and many more. He also received a Turing Award for his fundamental contributions to the theory of computations. Born in 1925, Seymour Roger Cray received a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and later a master's degree in applied mathematics, both from the University of Minnesota. He began his career designing scientific computers for the government and developed a name for himself as a genius in designing high-performance computers. This led him to develop the first system worthy of being called a supercomputer. He later founded his own company, Cray Research, which focused on the development of supercomputers. However, he quickly relinquished his company's management position to spend more time working on computer development firsthand. This trend of self-demotion to spend more time on work continued until Cray spent 100% of his work hours dedicated to developing new systems. Rolf Nevanlinna was a Finnish scientist born in 1895. He lived through the Russian Revolution and later sided with the White Guard during the Finnish Civil War, though he didn't see much action. Nevanlinna later developed his fame as an analyst by creating Nevanlinna theory through 1922 through 1925, a theory pertaining to the results of analytics. Other achievements he had were his professorship at the University of Helsinki, and also received many honors, such as being awarded the International Wihuri Prize for Scientists and Artists. Henrik Stephan's Prize for Nordic Culture, was made an honorary member of Deutsche Akademie, and many others. Donald Urban Knuth was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in 1938. He received his Ph.D. in mathematics at the California Institute of Technology in 1963. Knuth is known for his books The Art of Computer Programming, Volumes 1 through 4. These books later earned him a Turing Award, as the first 3 volumes had a major impact on the field. He is also known for Tex and Metafont, a new typesetting and font design created to allow for the reproduction of high-quality fonts for printed documents. Born in 1906 in what is now the Czech Republic, Godel was a child of poor health but high academic standing. He attended the University of Vienna, where he ultimately obtained his doctorate in mathematics and went on to create many well-renowned theorems on mathematics. His most famous theorem is the Incompleteness Theorem, one of the most important mathematical findings of the 20th century. This theorem ultimately helped computer scientists as they developed computer logic. AlphaGo is a computer designed to play the Chinese game Go. Go has players taking turns playing white or black stones on a board and attempting to steal their opponent's pieces by surrounding them on 2 sides. AlphaGo's first formal match was in 2015 against European champion Mr. Fan Hui and defeated him 5-0. AlphaGo later defeated Mr. Lee Sedol, winner of 18 world titles and considered by many as the greatest Go player in the last decade. Designed by IBM and named after their founder Thomas J. Watson, the Watson supercomputer is an incredibly powerful machine designed to replicate humanity's ability to answer questions. The machine accesses 90 servers with a combined data store of 200 million pages of information and processes that against 6 million logic rules at the rate of 80 teraflops. For reference, the average laptop can process at a rate of 57.6 gigaflops, and 1 teraflop is equal to 1,000 gigaflops. In 2011, the Watson supercomputer had its abilities showcased by having the machine compete against two top-ranking Jeopardy players, Ken Jennings and Brad Rutter, where Watson won. Japanese roboticist Toshio Fukuda works in a lab at Nagoya University, where he and his team research micro and nano robot systems, medical robots, and medical simulators. His background in medicine is what led to Fukuda's position as a micro-roboticist dedicated to advancing the world of medical robots. One example of how this technology is revolutionizing the medical field is how his simulations allow surgeons to practice surgical plans before performing them on the patient. He believes his team's research will continue to save lives and improve the quality of medical practitioners around the world. Moper, inspired by DARPA naming conventions. The name of Moper is an original name. However, it was developed using the DARPA naming convention. DARPA, or Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, is an American organization comprised of approximately 220 government employees and oversees about 250 different research and development programs. So, that was that. That was Error Human Not Found. And it was fun. That was a lot of fun. But all things must eventually come to an end. And roll credits. I hope everybody has a wonderful time. Happy solstice, Merry Christmas, happy winter holidays, whatever you celebrate, wherever you are in the world. Summer holidays for our friends in the Southern Hemisphere. And, as always, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, and most importantly of all, stay weird. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.